Here in the Rue du Tournon, principally, there are a lot of police and there are a lot of journalists here right now. The police arrived very quickly after the news came in that Jacques Chirac had died. I've spoken to them. They said that probably more police are going to keep arriving. There's several dozen of them here already. They've closed off this street at both ends. It's actually quite close to the French Senate and the Saint-Sulpice church, which is very well known as a tourist spot. So it's quite a busy area of town, and there's certainly are a lot of people looking with interest down the street, trying to find out what's going on. It's a little complicated for the neighbours as well. We spoke to one lady who lives on the Rue du Tournon, a great admirer of Jacques Chirac. She said she didn't actually really see Jacques Chirac since he moved here in 2016. Of course, he's been very ill for the last couple of years of his life, in a wheelchair, not really going out of that building behind me, that rather grand door there that's been his residence since 2016. But the lady said, they were very happy that he was living here in their street. But she's rather been taken by surprise by this news. And she found out that Jacques Chirac had died when she came out of her house and saw that the street was closed off. There are certainly well-wishers telling us about how much they admired Jacques Chirac. Perhaps they changed their minds a little since he was president, because he wasn't such a popular president while he was actually in office. But certainly he's become somewhat of a cult figure for many French people since his death, as you've been discussing there in the studio.
Catherine, we've heard these overwhelmingly positive, perhaps almost nostalgic accounts of how people felt about Jacques Chirac, and more popular perhaps once out of office than when in power, plagued by a certain number of scandals and complicated political stories. What would you put that popularity down to?
Oh, well, in terms of the couple of neighbours that I've spoken to here, they said, one lady said quite simply, he just had such a presence. He was such a charismatic man. He was very tall. He held himself very well most of his life. He was very energetic. He was known to be quite a bon vivant. And the lady said, he just gave off a certain charisma when you met him. I think for people who didn't meet Jacques Chirac as well, obviously he was president for a great number of years. He was very prominent in the press, for good and for bad. He was somebody who was very well known to them, a figure who was, mayor of Paris as well, of course, before he was president. So somebody who was in the public eye for such a long time. And another person I spoke to here said, we just felt like we really knew him. And she said, actually, I never spoke to him even as a neighbour, but actually I just really felt somehow that this was somebody who'd been in my life for quite a long time.